Well, hello folks, it's Darwin, and I bet you didn't think you'd see me make another one of these videos, but today I want to share my full gear list of everything that I'm going to be carrying on my hike of the Tour de Mont Blanc, plus the rest of my 2023 backpacking trips. So it's been about 2 years since I've made one of these full gear loadout videos here on the channel, but I have a ton of domestic and international hikes planned this year that I'm really excited about, so I felt like now is a good time to make one of these for old time's sakes. Now, all the gear in this list is not only what I'm going to be using for a bunch of section hikes that I have, like my recent section hike of the Appalachian Trail back in May, or a section hike of the Pacific Crest Trail in August, but my full setup for the Tour de Mont Blanc. Now, I've included all the gear that I'm using throughout the year, but there are certain items that I won't be taking with me to do the Tour de Mont Blanc, like my shelter, my stakes, my trekking pole, my cook system, my knife, simply because I'm not going to need those for that type of a trek, but I did include them in the list. Now, before we jump into the gear, as usual, all the gear in this list I bought at full price with my own money, and I'm not sponsored by any of the companies that make it, aside from my own gear company, Evolved Supply Co. Obviously, I designed and developed that gear, and I guess you can say that I gave it to myself. So you can take that with a grain of salt. I'm probably going to have a biased opinion about my own gear. All right, now that all that's out of the way, let's spread everything out. I'll talk about each item individually, and then at the end, I'll give you my base weights. So first off, I have my pack, which is an Evolved Supply Co. Ranger 35 to 40 liter frameless roll top pack. That does have a padded removable hip belt, and then on the inside, I have a Nylafume pack liner. On the reverse side, on the shoulder straps, I have one shoulder pocket, and then on the other side, I have my Peak Designs capture clip to attach my camera. Next up, I have what I use as a back panel inside of my pack, and what I use as a sit pad and to put under my sleeping pad, which is a Gossamer Gear 1/8 inch foldable foam pad. Inside of my Z-Packs DCF stuff sack, I have an Enlightened Equipment Enigma 20 degree long and wide quilt. Below that, I have my Sea to Summit Eros ultralight pillow and a pair of Enlightened Equipment Torrid Sidekick sleep socks. My sleeping pad that I've been using for years and what I'm going to be using for the rest of this year is the Thermarest Uberlight regular long sleeping pad. My cook system consists of a Bic mini lighter, a BRS 3000 titanium stove, and a Snow Peaks titanium 700 mug. Above that, I have my Sea to Summit Alpha aluminum long handle spork and my food bag, which is a Hilltop Packs custom printed food bag. I have 10 MSR Groundhog mini steaks inside of a small DCF stuff sack, and then the shelter that I use is the Altaplex by Z-Packs, the same one I've had for years, and then that tent uses a trekking pole, which is the CNOC Carbon Cork trekking pole. I typically carry a random 1 liter disposable plastic water bottle to carry my water in, and then my filtration system is the Sawyer Micro Squeeze filter on top of a CNOC Vesica 1 liter collapsible water bottle. Next up are the clothes that I keep inside of my pack, typically in the footbox of my quilt, and that is a Smartwool 150 merino beanie to sleep in. I have a Patagonia Capeline lightweight t-shirt, a pair of Patagonia Capeline lightweight tights, a set of Mount Hardwear light gloves, and my favorite socks, my sock of choice, which is the Darn Tough merino light cushion run sock. My base layer piece is a Cinchi Designs Ren Alpha Crew sweater. This thing's pretty new to my kit, but so far I am really loving how warm and light it is. The two jackets that I carry, which are the Enlightened Equipment Torrid Apex pullover, and that does have the kangaroo pocket made out of 7D inner and outer, and an Enlighten Equipment Visp rain jacket with pit zips. Next up are all the things that I keep on the outside of my pack in my pockets, which number one is my ditty bag, which is a Hilltop Packs custom printed ditty bag. Inside of there, I'm going to keep all of my toiletries and first aid, like my toothbrush, my toothpaste, chapstick, and my sunscreen. I have my small mini knife that does have scissors, my Deuce of Spades trowel, and my Hygiena bidet. Moving over to electronics, I have a bag with a bunch of random cables and cords for charging, my headlamp, which is the Nightcore NU25, a Nightcore PD 10,000 milliamp charger, and that is version 2. I have a small PD wall charger and a European adapter, an extra battery for my camera, an ND filter for my camera lens, and a Tascam DR10 lav audio recorder so I can do interviews, and a Rode Video Micro 2. And then my camera, which is the Fuji X-T4, and I have the 23mm lens on there. Now the camera strap that I use is an Evolve Supply Co. sling with the PD anchor links. I started carrying a larger tripod, which is the Aoka Carbon tripod. Below that, I have my passport, my wallet with cards and cash, an iPhone 14 Pro, and a set of Apple AirPod Generation 3. Next up are my sunglasses, which are prescription rain polarized sunglasses. My favorite shorts in the world, and ones that I have a ton of miles on, which are the Nike Challenger 5-inch short. And I am happy to announce, finally, the sun hoodie I've been working on for 3 years, the Mirage. The Mirage is a merino sun hoodie that is made by my company, Evolve Supply Co., in collaboration with Z-Packs, and that will be out in August. I have my Evolved Supply Co. 5-panel cap. This is one that doesn't have a patch on it. My favorite shoe that Ultra has ever made, the Lone Peak 6, and I do have a set of custom insoles in there. And another pair of my favorite socks, which are the Darn Tough Merino Light Cushion Run. All right, so there you go. That's everything that I'm going to be carrying for my hike of the Tour de Mont Blanc, minus my shelter, my cook system, my knife, my stakes, and my trekking pole. I'll actually end up picking up a trekking pole when I get over Switzerland, simply because I don't want to fly with it. I don't want to have to check it or send it to myself. I recently made a video about flying with gear and what I do domestically and internationally. If you want to check that out, I'll put it up here. But not only is that all the gear that I'll be using for Tour de Mont Blanc, that's also what I'll be using for some section hikes that I have planned this year, like the one I did on the AT, the Pacific Crest Trail, and some stuff here in Arizona and around the Southwest. All right, so my main base weight for everything in my pack that I'll be carrying for those section hikes here domestically is right at 10 pounds, 10 ounces. Now, that is minus food, water, and the clothes that are on my back. And that also is minus my camera. If I add my camera in, I'm right at 13 pounds, which is pretty good as far as I'm concerned because of the full luxury, because of full camera equipment. So I get to make some awesome travel films. Now, my full setup for the Tour de Mont Blanc, and again, that's minus the shelter and the cook system and all the rest of that stuff, is right at 11 pounds, 10 ounces, and that is with my camera setup. So I think that's pretty good. I'm pretty happy about that. I kind of stopped caring about base weight a couple years ago, and I'm not trying to get as light as I used to be on a thru hike when I had to carry a lot of extra food and a lot of extra water. These trips are much smaller trips where I'm not having to worry about that stuff, so I can afford to have a slightly larger base weight and more comfort items for myself. I'm really excited about getting over to Europe to do the Tour de Mont Blanc. It's a hike I've wanted to do for years, and I'm excited about how I'm doing it. I'm actually doing it with a company called Vagabond Trails. I started becoming a creative guide for them. Last year, I went to Ecuador and took a big group and hiked through the Andes, did some rafting in the Amazon jungle, and I'm going to be doing that over on the Tour de Mont Blanc. So if you signed up for this trip, I'm super excited to meet you guys and get to hike with you through the Alps and have an awesome cultural experience in another country, or I guess multiple countries. I'm going to be doing more of these trips going forward. So if that's something that you'd be interested in, stay tuned here on the channel and I'll eventually share where I'm going to be doing them and when. The other thing that I'm super excited about is the sun hoodie. It's finally here, folks. It's finally here and it comes out next month. So if you are interested in finally getting one of these, go over to my website, evolvedsupplyco.com, and sign up. And when we release the sun hoodie, you'll get notified when it's going to go live. All right, so hopefully this video gave you a little bit of an insight on what I'm carrying these days. Like I said, it's been 2 years since I've made one of these videos. So hopefully this gives you a little insight on the type of gear that I'm carrying. Most of it has kind of stayed the same over the years with a couple little tweaks, a couple little changes, but there it is. Hopefully you got your gear fix. If you want to support me and all these new videos that I've been making recently, you should head over to my Patreon page. I do a weekly Monday morning video podcast every single week, and I also share a ton of behind-the-scene looks at new gear that I'm developing over at Evolve Supply Co. And there's a ton of content that I've been doing over there for the past 3 years that you can get access to. If you're interested, I will leave a link down below. If you found any value in this video, go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Take care of yourself, take care of each other, and as always, guys, thanks for watching.